Wi-Fi.
Oh, sure. I had to go swap out the equipment because it got all soaking wet.
What?
The router and the
How?
all of a sudden water came through that vent. I don't know.
So this minor, let's look at the psukim. It's not interesting. Veosiso Bigdei Kodesh va'aron achicha. So in the beginning of this week's parsha, we have two psukim about shemen.
About Shemen?
About shemen. V'ata Tetsaveh v'yichoi lecha shemen zayizoch.
Correct.
But then right away, it starts talking about the begodim. And it says like this: veosiso Bigdei Kodesh. You, Moshe Rabbeinu, should make Bigdei Kodesh va'aron achicha. Then you look in the next pasuk. Ve'ata tedaber el kol chachmei leiv asher milei sidru hachachma ve'osu es Bigdei Aaron lekadshe. Actually, who's going to make the Bigdei Kahuna? The chachmei leiv. Then you read another few psukim down. You go down, whatever it is, pasuk hey or whatever it is, and then it says ve'osu Bigdei Kodesh va'aron achicha levana, and they should make Bigdei Kodesh. When you look at the psukim, it's hafle v'fele. The Alter points it out. This is all within the kriyah before Levi of a Monday and Thursday.
No.
Before Levi on Monday and Thursday, there's three different ve'osu Bigdei Kodesh. Veosiso Moshe v'tmachan la'aron achicha, and then kol chacham leiv are going to make Bigdei Kodesh la'aron achicha, and then it says ve'osu plain. So, in practical sense, what in the world is going on here? Did I see us? Three parties.
Maybe he was just a big guy.
Yeah.
I mean, one is for an army, and one is for for the king or for the prince.
No. Each it says clearly.
It's all for Aaron.
All three say clearly that it's for Aaron.
It says right here.
veosiso Bigdei Kodesh la'aron achicha, ve'osu Bigdei Kodesh la'aron lekadshe, ve'osu Bigdei Kodesh la'aron achicha levana v'lechan eli. Right? Yeah, you have differences. One time it says lekadshe lechanoi, one time plain lechanoi. The hovin sholish asiyas halolu sheba Bigdei Aaron. What are these three asiyas? Shel Moshe, v'shel chachmei leiv, and then ustam ve'osu. Mashal Klal Yisrael. Hinei Aaron hu mishiva royim hamefarnesim umamshichim lekolos neshamas Yisrael me'eid ein seif baruch hu. So we learn about these things all the time. So to unpack it a little more clearly, basically lemaila there's a eitzer hanashamas. Let's imagine that it's like a painter that's blending colors. In the Eitzer HaNeshamas, so one aspect of Eitzer HaNeshamas are character. The blend of characters. One has more chesed, one has more gvura, such. One is smarter, one is all the different characteristics. But then there are also, in the DNA of a neshama, there are spiritual koiches that are, how did they get there? It's the Shiva Royim put it in. The Shiva Royim put in a mix of a predetermined love for Hashem, passion for the Eibishter, faith in the Eibishter. They're the ones who put in the mix. So we have our character, our Ruchni is the character, but then in addition to that, we have these traits that the Ovis mixed in to the main pot of Klolos Neshamas Yisrael. So Aaron is one of the Shiva Royim, and he is the Ish HaChesed, he's the Kohen Gadol, and he's Mamshich Bechinas Ava Rabba. That's what he blends, that's what he puts into the Yidden. Ubigdei Aaron heim levushim la'avazu. The Bigdei Aaron are the begodim. So let's talk for a minute about the begodim, what this means. So if we go all the way back, like to Sheshes and Bereshis, we all learned and we discussed Mistama in the past the Indian that Elazar ben Dordaya, he did tshuva, And a baskel came out that Elazar ben Dordaya is mezumen. He's going to Elam Haba. So Rabbi Yehuda Anossi was crying. God, right? Yesh koine elomei b'shah achas. Here I am sweating my whole life, and this guy gets a break in a quick, you know.
In a New York minute.
Yeah, how did that happen? That he got such a quick. So now the Chazal tell us in Kabbalah and Chassidus that when Elazar ben Dordaya did tshuva, so he reached this incredible level. The problem was he was missing levushim. What does it mean he was missing levushim? You give someone a doctorate, an honorary doctorate, to whatever degree, but he didn't learn. So he's missing a certain, right, the stuff he doesn't have. Elazar ben Dordaya, he was a coarse man, right? He wasn't a developed, cultivated individual, right? He was missing the skill, the sensitivity, the spirituality, the culture. He didn't have any of that. So he's going to end up in Gan Eden. He doesn't who are his friends going to be? Right? And what company is he going to be? So Chazal tell us, again, the Mekubalim tell us that what happened was the Eibishter took all the mitzvahs of Yochanan Kohen Gadol, who shmat at the end of his life, who abandoned it all at the end of his life, and gave all of that refinement to Elazar ben Dordaya. So in other words, in addition to
double whammy.
Our love, and in other words, the character traits that we have in us, every person works on themselves to develop themselves, to cultivate themselves. You have to have some edelkeit. You have to have some sensitivity. That sensitivity, those are the levushim. Right? Those are the levushim. So Bigdei Aaron are the levushim, they're the garments la'avazu. And he brings Inyan, Mashakosov Yomim Yutzoru, that the Yomim are B'chinas Levushim, like we learned earlier in Parshas Chayesoro. Ukmeshakosov Bezeir al Posuk. I'm going to go quickly through these few lines. And the Posuk Avram Zokim Baba Yomim. So Avraham Yoimin Eloyin, the Inon Levushin Chulu, that Avraham had all the garments that he needed. He developed, he worked on himself. Lefi, so the Alter Rebbe says like this: Kol neshama yesh lo levushim shel Torah mitzvahs. Everyone has mitzvahs. So everyone has mitzvahs in the most basic sense, on the basic level. Asher yasa esam ha'adam. In other words, in our language, everyone does good things. Everyone does nice things, right? We had this discussion. When you talk to people, everyone sees themselves as a good person. So, Maisa B'Poyel, everyone has. If we tell people, oh, here you could do something good, who's going to say no? You know what I mean? Like, here's an opportunity to do something good. If we question who says it's good, okay, so we have a question. But if we all agree that there's something good, we'll do it. I mean, who's not going to do it? It's good. So that's on the basic level. Asher yasa esam ha'adam. Every person does mitzvahs. And then umikavanas ha-mitzvahs, from the spiritual part of the mitzvahs, from the kavana, and the re'usa deliba, from the pintalayid, from the emotional investment in the mitzvahs. Naso levushim gan eden ha'elyon. Meaning mitzvahs have two parts. Mitzvahs have the maisa, what we do, and then there's the intention. Sometimes a person could do a mitzvah, a person could give tzedakah, and their intention is that they should receive honor. It's a hidden intention, or whatever it is. But, or a person wants to create an image of themselves. There's a certain cause that I do, right? I give money that the kids should go to camp. Oh, that's my Indian. He's developing a personality around a reputation around this Indian. So his kavana is whatever the kavana is. I'm not saying that that's a bad kavana, but it's a, right? And so there's the maisa and there's the kavana. You have a person, the whole thing is l'shem shamayim. So when the kavana is l'shem shamayim, nasu levushim v'gan eden ha'elyon. That's a higher level of levushim. Umi mitzvahs maisi is stam. Nasim levushim that in natachten ganeda. Va'ayomim aktsuvim la'odom mispar yimei shnei chayov. The life of a person. So kol kach yomim. How many days does he get? B'shir levushin shetzricha neshama lias lam yateru mitzvahs asher yasid vayem b'yemeh. What the person is going to fulfill. Fine. Now the Alter Rebbe asks another question. It's known. Ki Avram hu haroya harishin mishiva haroya. Avram is also a roya, and he's mamshir gamkin b'chinas ava l'klos neshamas Yisrael. Like it says, Avram Eyavi. So now the question becomes, what's the difference? Aaron is Kohen Gadol Chesed, and Avraham is Vaiter Chesed. So what's the difference? They're both Chesed. They're both Ava. It says, "Hefesh be'midas Aaron ish Chesed be'midas Avraham Eyavi Yuvan api mashakosu be'zeyar is Chesed ve'is Chesed is Chesed ikre Chesed Elam ve'is Chesed ikre ve'rat Chesed chulu." Okay, I want to talk about this Indian a little bit outside. Of course, we touched upon it. We always want Mevil Abissal Grob and Abissal Tiffer. So just to speak about the Indian a few minutes outside, that basically there are things that we care about, but we don't have to. Right? Everyone wants to spend time with family, but what happens? We get busy. So we need someone to clear up the busyness. The ava that we have. So in other words, you say, oh, there's a person, he wants to do Torah mitzvahs, but he's busy. There's clutter in his life. He doesn't see it. So we have to help him move it away. That's all within normal. You don't have to bring a person to a severe, life-threatening chveis. He doesn't have to scream Shema Yisrael hanging over a cliff. He doesn't have to go bungee jumping. All you got to do is give him an afternoon. Talk to him a little bit about spending time with his family. That's it. Then there are things that are hidden inside a person that in order to get them out, you need like heavy pressure. It's a big event. A person has to be in an earthquake. He's in a car accident. He's in a fire. Right? Yeah, you need like these incredibly powerful, forceful events that are going to extract from you.
Category 5.
Right? That are going to extract from you what you really care about. Right? Sometimes a person will say, I didn't even know myself how much how much I care about something, right? Like, I don't know, the last time I cared about my kids, I don't know, I didn't think about them for a long time. But then something happened, my kid was walking into the street, a car was coming. Oh, I missed a beat. So, I didn't know I have such an intense, such intense emotion. Right? So those are two. Let's think about these two. These two inyanim. The lower avos Hashem is an avos Hashem that everyone has. He wants to do the right thing. He wants to daven a little more. But he's busy. So in order to unbusy him, you have to just move it out of the way. Give him an afternoon. Give him a snow day. Then you have an avos Hashem that's very deep, that in order to reveal it, you need a category 5. Right? You need a life-altering event. That life-altering event, it's like when a person, their whole life flashed in front of their eyes, they realized all those other things, really, they're not important. There's a truth. The ava of Aaron, that's at that category 5. The ava of Avram Avinu, that's like the regular avos Hashem. And the Alter Rebbe is going to speak about how to be ma'oder that avos Hashem. I want to mention, before we go back inside, I want to mention yesterday, Danny Moskowitz, Olav Hasholem, his father passed away yesterday. Yeah, this Gezen, Moshe Moskowitz from Chicago, yesterday he passed away. So I'll just share a maisa. When he was a kid, when he was 16, 17 years old, he was a Talmud. He learned by the Rebbe. He was here. He was in 770. And his classroom was in Maskiris. Where Maskiris is right now, that's where his classroom was. And for those that are listening online, basically when you look at 770 from the front, It's matching on both sides. On the left side are the windows of the Rebbe's room, and on the right side are the windows of the secretariat of Maskiris. And that used to be a classroom. And Zalman Garari was the Rebbe of these kids.
They paid well then.
And who was in the class? Shmuel Fogelman was in the class. And Frank Moskowitz was in the class. Anyway, one day the windows were open. There was no air conditioning then. We're talking about in the 40s, the early 40s. I don't know exactly the year. You'll make a cheshbon. He was 16, 17. He passed away. He was 93. How old was he? Anyway, one day some kids passing by threw rocks into the class. Frank Moskowitz was strong. He was tall and strong for his age. He jumped out of the window. He ran after the kids. He grabbed the two kids. He banged their heads together, and he took care of them. And then he came back. So his Malamed said, "Van a Fenster kriegt man, you don't go from a window. There's no mezuzah." So he kicked him out. Anyway, so Frank Moskowitz, instead of fighting his way, obviously I'm telling the story, the way it's. I don't know every detail. I don't know where his parents were in the picture. Whatever it was.
Not in school.
He decided he's enlisting. He went to the army. Shmuel Fogelman was a close friend of his. And that was it. He left. And he felt horrible. Who knows what's going to be? Where is he? That was it. That was it. Anyway, Shmuel Fogelman, for 10 years, he was the director for Berel Shemtov in camp in Detroit. He was the camp director, whatever it's called, whatever the position is called. Anyway, the first day of camp, the bus comes, the kids come off the bus. He sees three little boys come off the bus. And he says, "What's your name?" And they say, "Moskowitz." He says, "Is your father, by any chance, is he Frank?" So they said, "Yeah." So he mamish, it was like he hadn't seen him since mamish Meredith with the tzitzis, such beautiful Yerushalma, like a fruma mishpacha. What are you talking about? Anyway, he says, "You think he's going to come on visiting day?" If you know Shmuel. Anyway, he came and they met. And then from then, whenever he would come to New York, whenever he would stay in his house, they had such a closeness. So when Shmuel told me the story, their friendship became so deep from the mystery. Where were you? Right? Just from the mystery that
absence makes the heart
this kid faded off the face of the earth. Right? And then not only did he show up, but who imagined? It couldn't have been a better, So that type of intensity, that's like the greater. That's like I'm just saying it as a marshal, obviously because he just passed away. But to understand the deeper, the Rav Chesed, it's Lamayla Meishtalshus. That's not the ordinary. Let's make time for family. Oh, yeah, what do you want? You know what I mean? So that's another zach. So let's take a look. It's known the bisarusa de la sata, bisarusa de leila. When we reach out to the Eibishter responds and gifts us with spiritual sensitivity. If I'm searching, I'll start feeling. Right? The truth is, Gam lifnei isarusa de la sata, kodma isarusa de leila. In other words, who got you to look for the Eibishter? The Eibishter got you to look for him. However he did it, by depriving you, by whatever happened to you, the Eibishter triggered your search. Kedei shetehei isarusa de la sata, meaning la'oider leva adam, lakitzim mishnasa. to wake him up from his sleep. B'havlei ha'olam. Sheteva ha'odam, what happens naturally? That nimshach acharehem, that you go after Gashmias. Ulahamshich libe lavedas Hashem l'davka, but you draw them away from Gashmias, away from the Guf, to Ruchnias. V'isarus adela zu. This basic isarus adela hi mibchinas chesed elam. That's the basic chesed. Ukumesha kosov, come, eat something. Ukumesha kosov, the chesed Hashem meyolam ve'ad olam. It's in Gashmias. Chazde Hashem olam oshira. That's Madregas Avraham. That's Avraham. Here, what your page Beis, that Avraham was a merkava to this basic chesed. I have a life. I have things that are important to me. Right? Every once in a while, we meet a person. We say, their model of balance, of work-life balance, that's the right model. They have dinner every night with their family. They have breakfast with, when I took a job in yeshiva the first time, so somebody, one of my relatives, he said to me, I know the way it works. They're going to tell you, they're going to draw you to go teach chassidus. Don't do it. He says, you have to know every morning before your kids go to school, you have to be in the house. To sit with them. He said, no. I didn't listen, by the way. Right? But it's an idea. Right? In other words, so anyone who sees it, Taka, why not? It's all within his shtalshalus. No one's asking you to make a Pesach. Some kind of sacrifice at the end of the world. Mishakosov, Chesed Lavram, Shehi Midas Ha'ava Ativis, Shebelev Klolus Neshamas Yisrael, Rak Shehi Misuteres, Umechuser.
There's 2 blocks. He's in the right place.
He said he was reading your hair.
I know. Bill is okay. Go over. How long are you gonna be doing this for?
It's on Facebook Live.
Hold on.
24 minutes. 21 minutes. So shehi rakshi misuteres u'mechusa bilvush sak she'em akuv v'nefesh habamus. And v'sarusa d'le'ela zu hi le'eira sa'ava ad she'tachtes li'yispashit milvushel l'davku b'yizborech, to be close to the Eibishter. And to be bothered, how do you stay focused with that? Litzik al Hashem batzar lei mikerev ish v'leiv omik. To say, Eibishter, I don't want to get busy again, fall into this trap again. Lahamshich libe achar Hashem keteva nafshe me'elav u'me'melav. I'm going to give a little, just to get in a minute, to give some context for where we're up to. Ach, v'yisarusa de la sata, yisarusa de la ela. What happens once we start searching for the Eibishter, once we start doing the work, then yisarusa de la ela. Hu shema'eir ha'adam l'mayla b'chinas v'rav chesed, that the Eibishter gives you a more intense connection, which is b'chinas aron kain gadol. She'b'chinas zu ma'id nayla b'chinas chesed elam is much greater. Okay, so let's just a little background and then an introduction to what he's saying that's coming up soon. So he started with some questions about the Bigdei Kodesh. It says 3 times that they should make begodim for Aaron. Why 3 times? He explained that begodim are like sensitivity. It's like a person. It's like when people have an understanding between each other. That understanding, it's not how smart you are, or how, it's a sense, and that's what the levushim are. Levushim are a sense. Avraham and Aaron, they have a different type. So there's the levush and there's the ava. There's to have a chush in the ava, and then there's the 2 levels of ava. What are the 2 levels? The basic level, the way we described it so far, is that you have a person who knows what's right, but he's busy. So if you help him get unbusy, you're like, I know you have to work, but 1 evening a week, come have dinner with family. You don't have to convince him that having dinner with family is a good thing. He's masking. Okay, one evening, right? In other words, yeah, I want to serve Hashem, but I'm busy. Okay, let's help you get unbusy. That's the basic love that you just have to make time for. Then there's a love that's much more intense. A love that it's like a life-altering event that brings out from you koiches that like your whole life changed. That's a much more intense love. That's the way he described it till now. And that's the difference between Avram and Aaron. Avram is the basic natural Ava. We just have to learn to make time for it. Aaron is like the very intense love. What he said immediately was like a little vert that he said that, by the way, if you make time for the basic Ava, you do what's right by Avram Avinu, you'll begin to experience the Aaron, the higher level. Okay? Now he's going in to say another nukuda. Right, human beings were very complex, right?
Sure.
In generally speaking, I would say that I want to try to keep the conversation as pure, not because I don't want to be lurid or explicit, but because the idea really is a very edel idea. Usually, if someone loves someone or something, a very important part is to know what to do to fulfill my desire. Right? Imagine like a 13, 14-year-old kid. He's so crazy. He's jumping out of his skin. He doesn't know what to do.
It's a regular kid.
Right? He can't. He doesn't know where do you start. How do you express this? So what he's saying is, in other words, usually a person who has an interest in anything. Oh, he wants to learn how to be an artist. Okay, so he'll take classes. He'll get some canvases. Right? You have someone. He's so meshuggah. He wants to embrace the whole, the whole world. He's got to swallow up the whole world. So he says like this: the initial, the avativis, is there are very clear instructions. David do mitzvahs, daven, right? You know what you need to do, and that's, in other words, be normal. I know what it looks like. The verav chesed, the very intense love, he's just looking for excuses. How do I need to catch someone's attention. How am I going to catch their attention? Anyway.
Whatever it takes.
But right, I don't. It's like do this, do that. No, I'm going to do it. Right? It's like I'm going to do anything. So there, what the love is incredibly intense. That anything that you do is so insignificant relative to the way you're feeling. He says it's al derech mashal. In order to explain this, the Alter Rebbe says it's al derech mashal saidus, like hair. And then he gives a more ruchniistic mashal. He says what's hair gets highest from the brain, but there's no. It's so minimal. The brain is like a massive powerhouse giving highest to a thread. He says even when someone is explaining an idea, the words that are being used are not, they're so insignificant relative to the idea. And if I use different words, if you use a different muscle, if you said it in a different language, like this word is what matters.
To the ladies, yes.
Right? Because Taken Malchus, yeah, right? So he says that's what ends up happening is that the love to the Eibishter is so intense that all the mitzvahs and all, right, everything that you're doing is like overshadowed by this incredibly fantastic, by this incredibly intense love. It's like sometimes when people they're dating, they want to propose. They don't know what to do, right? Because how am I going to fully, right? Like that's that moment. Whatever you're going to do,
It doesn't work.
It can't possibly
Live up to the moment.
Yeah, right. So that's what he's saying. He's saying, yeah, a person has such intense avos Hashem. Whatever he's going to do, it's like Cyrus. So let's see how he's building it. Right, the Alter Rebbe explains. Says, let's start from here. Avo bechinas v'rav chesed. Yeah, Avo bechinas v'rav chesed. Who l'mayla min ha'ishtalshelus. It's not within an order. Shehu bechinas gilui ha'hamshacha v'hislapshus erein soiv baruch hu b'chachma v'chesed. When something is in ishtalshelus, then there's an order, there's a process, and the way he explains it, he says. In ishtalshelus, the measure of your emotion will match your intelligence. That's normal. You have a certain amount of passion. It's like in the Basei Lagani, the discussion about a war. So he says usually when you go to war, there's a financial calculation. What do we say protecting? Oil wells. How much are they worth? How much are we spending? At a certain point, you're like, it's not worth it.
Expenditures.
Right? Then a person goes into nitzochen. They go crazy. It's not about what it costs. It's not about what it's... Right? That's what he's saying. In ishtalshelus, it's measured. There's chochmah, there's midas, everything is proportional. Or proportionate, the right word. The hainu, lias reishis ha'is havos shal bechinas chochmah. First there's chochmah. Va'chochmah me'ayin timotzei she'ein arei chelav klal. Chochmah is in its place. Like it says in Tikkun Zayar, Lav the Islach Tzedek Yediyah, V'lav Mikol Midas Chulu. In other words, the Eibishter himself is higher than that. V'gam min ha'chochmah hu l'mayla ram v'nisa. Like it says, Chulu b'chochmah siza b'chines achinas asiyah gufnis chulu. V'derech gilui zeh, v'amshocha zu, lias islapshus erein soiv baruch hu b'chochmah, hu k'mesha kosov, that it should be, that the infinite, that the l'mayla mi'ishtalshus, should come into Chachma. That's like that pasuk. Hashem anatoiv al aroish, yored al azokam, zekan aroin. It's like here. Pirush, mashanim she'alchin zekan aron dikna the kahana rabba, the beard of the Kohen Gadol, which is Cyrus. The hainu kamoshel ha'orai yoytzis derech nikvei Cyrus aroish, oy hazokam mimoisrei moichin. This moisrei, this like residue, like a very low grade brain power goes into the hair. Sha'asaydas ein chalulin, here are hollow. V'yonkim me'amechin shaberesh, there's life there. But v'al kol zeh still, ein lahem erech v'yichas klalim amechin shaberesh, ein chabad, they're not intelligent. They have no shaychas to brains. V'ein ikar chayis amechin mispashit bohem, it's not like real brain power in the hair. You're not going to feel the pain. They have a little connection, some far connection to the brain. That Eirein Soif should be revealed in Chochmah, in Chesed, which She'ein Arech Klal. And it should be nimshach mimchinas the lav mikol midas, from the space where there's no midas. Ulamayla migeder chochma. From there should come chochma midas. His havos b'chinas chochma midas. Ein ze elaziv ha'ora ba'alma b'chinas saydus. Tzimtzumim rabim va'atzumim lahamshich ha'ora. Moshel zeh shel ha'saydus, just like in a physical body, b'gashmin saguf, kach yesh oid moshel ruchni, there's a spiritual moshel about the chayis ha'nefesh, me'amshochas eze chochma, when you take an idea, a concept, and you formulate it in words. Words are just words. You could string together the idea with other words. Ki al yodon ubetoichon, it's through the words over hashpas hasechel that the concept passes. Since the Talmud has no way to plug into the brain, 10 minutes. What gives a person the power to connect to such a fantastic connection to Hashem is the isarusa de lasata shayideho ava shemimata l'mayla. Our basic searching, reaching, Eibusher, I want to connect with you. Kamayim aponim, kachi o ava yoino, ahafti eschem amar Hashem. The Eibusher reciprocates. Lias bechinas havaya tzimtzum v'yispashtos chulu ki ava dechekas asabosar. What do we say? Love squeezes the flesh. Meaning, when you're with a lot of friends, you can get into a small car because you're friends.
I thought about something else completely, Rabbi.
Right. If you're not friends, you're like, ugh. On the train, every person needs like 2 spaces. Right? So love, you press together. Yeah? You take up less space. So the Eibishter squeezed himself in because he loves the Yidden. He squeezed himself in. In the next paragraph, I want to skip to a later point, but he has a very interesting taich to the word ve'ahavta. Usually, we have 2 possibilities of how we translate ve'ahavta. Ve'ahavta means you should love, or ve'ahavta means you will love.
Not past tense?
Okay, it's future tense. Yeah.
Both future.
Yeah. So it's a tzivui and a haftacha. You should, right? The vav is mah. You should and you will.
Oh, third class.
I'm not asking
20 years, you see, still. Well,
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you.
Oh, here he says something else. V'ahavta means Hashem says, "I will cause you to love. I'm gonna make it happen to you."
Wow.
So it's not on us then.
Like, I'll have to.
That's the Seirus of the Leila, no?
Is that like free choice?
I'm gonna cause you to become an oihev. Huh?
There's no free choice question?
No, not
It's stronger than free choice. It's the right choice that you're getting helped with.
Right. In other words, you're gonna try, right? But to really love the Eibishter. The Eibishter says, "I will give you the gift of love." That's v'ahavta.
Because you're my people.
Wow. I mean, that can only be with the Hasidic Pshat. Otherwise, it wouldn't work.
Otherwise, you're a snag.
Yeah. He says, he uses a lot of diktuk here.
Skipping right away?
Yeah. V'ahavtahu poyel yoytzei lishlishi. Dahainu shetif oil. Okay, he's bringing about, he's causing in you. Okay? I want to take a look at the last, let's read a little bit of the last paragraph. So, he's describing, so basically, we want to love the Eibishter. That's a goal as a Jew, that's a goal as a Jew, meaning you could be a Jew in Mitzrayim, basically. You could be a Jew, like the afflicted Jew, the suffering Jew, the Kafka-like Jew. And hopefully we could be the better place is to be a loving Jew, in that space of love. And he says in order to do that, we need levushim. What are the levushim? The levushim are a certain sensitivity. Like he said earlier, something that your attention is drawn to, right? Like when you get a haircut, I don't know, whatever, you have to think about when you buy a new coat and then you walk out on the street, you're noticing everyone's coat. Yeah, right? You're looking into buying a car and then you're paying attention to all the cars. Some people are always paying attention to the cars, right?
Could be.
So it's a sensitivity that you develop, right? So it happens on different levels. One of them is a sensitivity into what we do, right? Imagine someone who doesn't really put emphasis on what he does. Oh, what he does doesn't really matter that much. right? So that's one field, is that a person should care more or focus more, or it should be significant, right? Like at the end of the day, many people will think about if did anyone make them feel bad? Did they make someone else feel bad? So a lot of it is about feelings. You know, to be in a place where at the end of the day you think about what you did today, you know, so it's another area of focus. That's one Indian of Levushim, to focus. And then there's the focus on the spiritual, the emotional. How am I feeling? You'll say, oh, some people, they're not open to that. They're always ignoring. They don't want to think about how they're feeling. They're like, let's keep busy. Right? So it's a sensitivity. That's the Levushim. Right? Those are the Levushim. In other words, you have a character, but it's silenced. You have to have the garments is like to put on the glasses that are going to help you experience your emotions. So let's take a look. V'hinei betikun v'asiyas levushim elu, to make them, right? You sew the begodim, so it's called tikkun. Yesh gimel bechinas u'madregas. There are 3 levels. There are 3 planes. There's the madrega of Moshe. Moshe nikra. What was his name? Kimin amayim mishisihu. Pirish mishisihu mehahelem elagili. I would say in like the Hasidus applied concept is that Moshe is about potential. Like, who am I really? Because Moshe is where you're drawn from, right? Your origin. It's something that's not. It's not what you experience every day. It's thinking, you know, I have to tap into, there must be something more inside of me. That's Moshe. Upirush mishisihu, what does to draw mean? Me'ahelem alagili. Shenimshach min hahelem shelamayla min ha'ishtalshlus. That's beyond our daily living. That's min hamayim. It's the makar ha'torah. Shekol ha'torah hi bechinas kad. There are 24 books, which are symbolized in like a picture, shenish av min hayam, which are chavdalet sifre de'iraisa. Right, Torah comes from this endless sea of Hashem's wisdom. Ukumeshikoso vatemale chado vatoa. V'hine al bechinas levush zeh hu inye masha omru razal sha'Torah nikra kala. U'ma'oirasa kihilas Yaakov v'Yisrael al the bechinas chosna mashpia. That we, the Yidden, we basically, without us, Torah would be nothing. It's like, imagine having musical notes without an instrument and you don't know how to read them. It's nothing, it's ink on a paper. It takes someone to make it music. A Torah without Yidden, right, is just printed ink on a paper. It's nothing. The Yidden make it into, oh, this is a lifestyle. Oh, this is right, it's a whole tradition. And the Yidden make that. So he says, Shehem ha-mashpiyim, liyas bechinas eirin sof b'chochma, vehem ha-oiskin b'Torah lishma l'shem ha-Torah. Also, when a person lives the Torah lifestyle, then you could say, is it a nice lifestyle? Does it work? Does it not work? Right? What does it look like in business? What does it look like in a family? All those things, in other words, we're the ones who are, let's say, making Hashem look good. Right? He unrolled a plan, but if no one uses the plan, we don't know how intelligent it is. When people use it, we say, that's what it looks like. That's Ein Sof. Dahainu, sheyeh his havus bechinas Torah. We create the Torah. V'chein b'mitzvahs ksiv v'asisam oisam. It's spelled without a vav. It sounds like v'asisam atem. You make mitzvahs into mitzvahs. Asher yasa oisam ha'adam. The person makes it into a mitzvah. Sha'adam hu mamshich ve'oisa oisam mitzvahs. We'll stop here. Whatever. Anyway, it's Shabbos morning. Okay. Hopefully, there's something to bite into.